Hi, this is Alexis Graff, and I am going to narrate the podcast made by Jose Hernandez. We attend Mammoth Middle School. Just a few weeks ago, we went to Horseshoe Lake. There, we learned about the mystery of the dead trees from Dr. Bob Drake. Dr. Drake, can you explain the mystery of the dead trees?
So here we are at Horseshoe Lake, and what makes this place unique? Well, if you look around, what is it that's very conspicuous here?
The dead trees.
Okay, dead trees. We have dead trees, but if you look around a little further, you'll notice that the dead trees are all sort of in one area. The forest in the distance is green, and all around where we're standing is green at a distance, but there's a cluster of dead trees. Virtually all of them are dead. So what is an explanation? Why does a tree die? Well, often it's because of lack of water. And this was first noticed during a drought period here. We had about 7 years of much lower than average water. And so when these trees started to die, everybody assumed that it was because they weren't getting enough water. But then when they looked more closely, they realized, well, it was just in this one area, and virtually every tree was dead, not just a few. And so they started to look into it further and made the correlation that this related to a swarm of earthquakes that were occurring under Mammoth Mountain. And these were a lot of not very big earthquakes, but there were a lot of them, and they were about 25 kilometers below the surface. This is quite deep for earthquakes. And moreover, the nature of these earthquakes was what you get when you have liquids that are oscillating. Many of you have heard when you turn the water off, suddenly you hear the water sort of slam and the pipes rattle. Well, this is what happens at depth when liquids move. It sets up an oscillation. And so it was inferred from this that a body of magma had been injected deep under Mammoth Mountain, and that when you have this happen, it is accompanied by gases which find their way along fractures to the surface. And so it was determined that a lot of carbon dioxide, CO2, that came in with this dike back in 1989 was the source of the CO2, which was so concentrated it was actually killing the roots of the trees, and the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the soil was actually poisoning the root system, and so it was killing all of the trees, young ones, old ones, everything in this area where the carbon dioxide was coming out of the ground. Now, this wasn't the only place this was happening. This is the most conspicuous area, but this was happening all around Mammoth Mountain. It was happening over at Red's Lake on the west side of Mammoth Mountain. It was happening along a fracture actually right near the main lodge, and various other places up on the ridge here. So this was a fairly massive event. Now, my own personal feeling was that, well, the amount of CO2, I should say, was quite huge. It was something like over 1,000 tons a day of carbon dioxide was coming out. Now, this is comparable to Kilauea, the large volcano in Hawaii, which is one of the largest volcanoes on Earth, and so which is an active volcano. Now, this isn't an active volcano. The Mammoth Mountain is a composite volcano, about 50,000 to 150,000 years old. So it's what we would call an extinct volcano. It's no longer active, but we do have activity along it and to the north and south. This is a zone that runs from basically Mammoth Mountain north through the Inyo craters, Mono craters, up across Mono Lake. So this is a large north-south system that's allowing volcanic activity, quite recent volcanic activity, to take place. And this event here is part of that.
So, Dr. Drake, what is causing the CO2 release?
Have they ever had a similar phenomena in other places that they've discovered where there was CO2 killing trees and seeping?
I'm not aware of it. I think this is fairly unique. I actually wrote a little article in the Mammoth Times when this happened, because my feeling was that there was huge quantities of carbon dioxide, but not other gases that are commonly associated with volcanic activity, such as hydrogen sulfide, which smells like rotten eggs, hydrogen, sulfur, and so on. And these gases seem to be absent. It was just carbon dioxide, but huge quantities of carbon dioxide. So why so? My feeling was that part of it, at least, of the carbon dioxide was coming from the heating up of limestone and marble, which is a calcium carbonate, which has carbon dioxide in it. If you heat it up, you will evolve carbon dioxide. And it turns out that our Paleozoic, our reef limestone, I pointed out Mammoth Rock to some of you on the way up. That's a marble. That belt of marble goes right underneath Mammoth Mountain. White Wing Mountain on the other side is also Paleozoic limestone. So my feeling was that this lava that was coming up and creating the earthquakes at depth was actually heating up the marble which underlies Mammoth Mountain, and that was the cause of such a huge quantity of carbon dioxide. And I think that's still a possibility.
Thanks for solving the mystery, Dr. Drake. It was really nice of you to take us to Horseshoe Lake. For Jose Hernandez, I'm Alexis Graff, and I hope you enjoyed our podcast. See you next time.